Historically, throughout all of human history, after we became literate and speaking organisms, cultural beings, we had the young people perform in front of us the morals and values of the tribe, the people, and the society. And we as the adults applauded and clapped and celebrated their internalization of the positive values that would create a future. So what we're doing is to say, we're celebrating the fact that the kids are co-creating the future that all of us want to have happen, and that thrills me to death. That's why we're doing it.
And so one of the things that we were looking at was how do we start to literally build that bridge so that we're not just the adults telling kids, you know, you don't want to use methamphetamine. How do we really get that message across? And we thought we need to engage and see our teens as the resources behind this project to really get the message out there. They have strong voices, excellent ideas, and they'll see things in a way that we could have never envisioned.
Well, we went back and forth with a lot of really good ideas. We were trying to narrow our ideas down to portray students having a positive effect on their peers in telling them not to do drugs. So we sat around and we thought about what are some of the scenarios that we could come up with that would illustrate that. And we had all these great ideas.
But we want it to be a very realistic message. What does it look like in your world? They went back and they came back another week later and they started working up their ideas. One of the first things that came up when they said, texting in class. It's a pretty common thing, even though we're not supposed to have cell phones on in class, but they said it's a very realistic picture.
And then one of the students also had a great idea about creating a slogan using the words meth. Meth makes everything horrible. And that was just an aside. We weren't trying to come up with that, but somebody had the great idea of using that. It was just a process of writing a script, revising, because you just can't expect to get it done on the first try. They brought an entirely different perspective to the table that normally grown-ups wouldn't have, and that's what we needed. I think if we had asked grown-ups to write this spot, it wouldn't have been as effective. So working with the teens was fabulous. They were very engaged in the project. They were excited to do it. Very professional. I was very impressed with that. Production work is a lot of hard work. If you think about what it takes to film a movie and how long and the process involved in that, you really need to have a lot of stamina, you need to have a lot of know-how, you need to know how to work the equipment, and these kids did a great job. I was very impressed.
This project is unusual for several reasons. First, this is being done by young people themselves. This is young people speaking to young people, just like we would do an advertisement for a commercial product. Okay, except this is about moving toward the issue of sobriety and personal responsibility in your own care, and also creating the conditions that young people can talk to one another about not doing something. So this production is all about young people being in the hero position.
Oh, well, I've never made a script before. I've never made storyboards, so it was kind of interesting how you could put ideas on paper and sum it up, make it into a short commercial.
Okay, so we need the 12 students, a teacher, and then 4 stars.
The students that were starring in our PSA were fantastic. We handpicked them, and they did a great job for us. And everything just seemed to come together, and sometimes when you do a TV shoot, like I said, it's very chaotic and things don't always go the way you think they're going to go. But everything worked out great.
I like helping people, so it was a big deal for me. Like, I'm against drugs, that's another thing. I was just so happy to be part of it. To let other people know that, like, you might think it's cool, but other people might be disappointed at you, so it's not all about what you think.
This makes me proud, and I'm happy because I get to help influence people by not doing drugs. And it makes me really happy that I get to be seen by a lot of people. And I also learned that, like, if people are talking on the phone with you about drugs and how high you are, you shouldn't really talk about that. You should just say, just say, I don't want to do that, and don't talk to me about it, and I don't want to be a friend anymore. That's what I learned.
Notice that the actors are middle school kids. All of the staffing that went to create the media campaign are done by high school kids. So now we have the appropriate thing where older youth are leading and guiding the younger youth.
Working with the middle school kids, it was really fun because some of them they were really enthusiastic and they knew when they could be funny and they could joke around, but then right when we got down to business, they were really serious and they knew what they were supposed to do, and it was really fun.
These are young people coming from schools, neighborhoods, and settings that have historically been labeled as at risk. And so now we've cast them in the true role of resiliency and responsibility and respectfulness for the future. And that, again, is what this is all about. If we do that on a regular basis, our children will be protected for the future, and they will live a much better life that we would want them to have.
The gift of this was that the media class had an opportunity to meet as equals with all of the adults, to ask questions and to learn, why are these adults paying attention to us, and why are we even having this dialogue, and to ask any questions that came to their mind, and to know that we would be honest and answer them to the best of our ability.
I was surprised on how well they treated us and how they made us feel very comfortable, how they made us realize that we can actually do something and we can actually have a chance to send something out, and that to know that people will actually take it into consideration and actually put it to good use.
Having to be on MySpace, we could save each thing as a background, so then we can just have it be the background of the computer screen, and then, I don't know, it would just be a lot easier than trying to do this whole little graphic thing that we were trying to do.
My name is Chris Sosa. I'm a graphic artist. For the acronym, I just made the text. I made it look brittle and, dry and brittle, as grungy but professional as it can get. Like the text got its life sucked out of it. And then for the background, just a really dark metallic look to it. I knew each time when people criticized it, I just made it better. That way it would work with everything else. So that's what I can use out, in the real world.
My name is Andre Quijada. I'm a senior at Pueblo High School. I worked as an editor on the project. I came in towards the end and I worked on the final cut, but I did some tweaks of the video and mostly sound. I worked on Soundtrack Pro and I added some sound effects. Definitely messed with them on the timing levels, like when they occurred, and sometimes I lowered the volume because they weren't extremely necessary. Some of the changes I made were to add in different sound effects or fix the text messaging typing, because there was a sound effect added for the text messaging where it sounded like someone was typing on the keyboard, and that's not what it sounds like when you're text messaging. Especially in the scene where the kid pulls out the phone in the classroom, you're trying to be as quiet as you can, and I thought it was weird that there was sound going on and he was trying to be sneaky about it. The difference from other projects was that I knew I would not just be judged by my peers, their eyes, it would be other people would get to see it. And I think it motivated me more.
Well, the hallway shoot, it was more difficult because it was time where students were coming from lunch or going to their next class, and a lot of them wanted to know what we were doing there. They didn't know why we were there. And it was kind of difficult blocking some of the students off. And I liked cameras, and for my future, I really want to be a serious movie producer or something that involves cameras.
The two PSAs are going to be broadcast on Channel 9, on Channel 4, and 13, on Fox, CW. We bought some primetime shows that you'll be seeing this spot in. It'll be on cable, so everybody should be seeing themselves coming up pretty soon.
I really like the final product, how it came out. You know, it's nice, it's not all cluttered, and I think people will be happy with it.
The process and all the little pieces that fit together in this are as important as the final product itself, because philosophically I know and scientifically I know the more we honor the good that children and young people do, the more good they do. And then we're ending this message with call the Meth Free Alliance, get some help. And that will tie into a lot of things that we're going to be offering for families and schools to do that's much, much more proactive. And so I am so excited. 1, they did it. 2, they crafted the message. And 3, the message is spot on from all of the science that we know about this.
The gift of this PSA and the development of the PSAs was that you had all of these multiple partners that came together. You had Pueblo High School, you have Doolin Middle School, Tucson Police Department, the Meth Free Alliance, Canine Advertising, Paxos Institute. Everybody came to the table very, very excited. And the whole process just flowed. In terms of, sometimes people go, as you're doing a creative project like this, you're going to run into snags in the road. And nothing ever like that ever transpired. Everything just kind of came together and flowed, and the students worked with each other, and I think if there was another wonderful gift of this was to be able to connect the Pueblo High School students with the Doolin School community. And we're not that far away. We are one community.
Well, it's going to be very exciting. If I see it on television, I'm just going to be jumping up and down. It would be exciting to see a project that I worked on with several of my classmates. It would be really exciting.
It's not as cheesy as other ones I've seen. And actually, it's not very cheesy at all. Now that I think about it. Of course, it still has its levels where it's still kind of cheesy and people are going to be like, yeah.